On a dead moon buried in ash and silence, a scavenger finds a wounded alien child hiding in a broken ship. No name, no past, just a glowing sphere clutched in her hand. He tries to walk away, but the moment she lifts her hand, everything changes. Hunted by black ships, chased by something far worse than death, he learns the girl was never lost. She was made. And the deeper their bond grows, the closer the galaxy comes to ending. But the true danger? She might be the weapon, or the only one who can stop it. If you're new here, then please subscribe this channel and show thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move to this wonderful story. The sky above the dead moon was always gray. No stars, no sunlight, only thick clouds of ash drifting like the breath of a world that never learned how to sleep. The wind moved slowly, dragging dust over the bones of old war machines. Broken ships, shattered armor, and burnt-out shelters lay scattered across the surface, like forgotten memories. Orphan walked alone, his boots crunched over glass and cracked metal. His long coat was torn at the bottom, covered in moon dust. His hands were wrapped in worn gloves, and his eyes, tired and sunken, searched not for beauty or peace, but for scrap. He wasn't a soldier. He didn't care about who started the war or who ended it. He just wanted to survive. Collect old tech, sell it for food, find fuel, keep moving. He moved over a collapsed satellite wing and stopped near the rusted body of a transport pod. The door had melted into the frame, but a gap in the hull was wide enough for him to squeeze through. Inside, it was dark and smelled like burnt wires. The walls were lined with dead lights and cracked panels. Vines of copper wire hung from the ceiling like forgotten roots. He raised his scanner. A soft beep echoed in the silence. Then another, a life form. No way, he thought. Probably just a heat pocket or maybe a rat. Then he heard it. A sound. Small. Not a word. Not even a full cry. Just a faint whimper, like someone trying hard not to be heard. His heart stopped. He pulled a short blade from his belt and crept forward. Each step made the floor groan beneath him. He followed the sound to a dark corner near the rear seats. He found her there, half covered in a shredded emergency blanket. Her skin was soft gray with a slight silver sheen. Her hair was thin, short, tangled with dust. One arm was badly burned. Her fingers held tightly onto a broken sphere that pulsed faintly with blue light. She didn't look older than 7. Alien. Quiet. Her eyes glowed softly in the dark, large and watching him. Not blinking, not crying. Orphan took a step back. No, he muttered. Not my problem. He turned to leave, but he paused. Something pulled at him. Maybe it was the way she looked at him. No fear, no begging. Just that small hand reaching up, slow and quiet, like a question. He cursed under his breath, rubbed his face. Just one night, he said. Just until I find somewhere safe to drop you off. He walked over and gently picked her up. She was cold and light, too light. Her skin felt thin, almost like soft plastic, but warm underneath. The sphere in her hand flickered when he touched it. She didn't speak. She didn't even move much. She just held on. Orphan carried her back to his hideout, a small shelter built inside the remains of a mining crawler. It wasn't much. Walls made from scrap panels, power from an old solar converter, and food from ration packs. But it kept the dust out and the cold away. He laid her down on a padded crate and gave her a few sips of water. She drank slowly. He offered her some paste from a food tube. She licked it but didn't eat much. She just sat there in the corner, her large eyes watching every move he made. "Can you talk?" he asked. No answer. "Do you have a name?" "Nothing." He sighed. "All right, guess I'll call you Nera." Still no reply. But she blinked once. Slow. Calm. "Fine," he said. "Nera it is. You're weird. Quiet. Probably dangerous. Perfect company." He laid down on the other side of the shelter and pulled his coat. over himself. His mind raced with thoughts, but the hum of the dying batteries and the silence outside slowly pulled him into sleep. When he woke, she was gone. He jumped to his feet, checked the door, still locked. Panic crawled in his chest. Then he turned and saw her near the supply crates. She was trying to copy how he opened a ration pack. Her small hands moved slowly, unsure, but her eyes studied everything. He walked over and sat beside her. She didn't move away, didn't flinch. "You're not like the other alien kids I've seen," he said. She tilted her head. He reached toward the glowing sphere in her hand. "What's this?" She pulled it back quickly, shaking her head. Okay, keep your secrets." That afternoon, he took her with him to search another wreck nearby. She stayed close. Her footsteps were so soft he could barely hear them. She didn't grab his hand, didn't speak. But she didn't run either. They found a few small power cells, an old drone with half a brain still working, and some data chips. Not bad. As they walked back, Orphan looked at her and for the first time in weeks, smiled. That night, everything changed. A low hum filled the sky. Orphan looked up through a crack in the shelter's ceiling. 3 black ships circled above the ruins. No lights, no markings, just smooth metal and silence. "Scanners," he muttered. "They're looking for something." Nara stared up, her body stiff. Her fingers shook. Orphan turned to her. "Is it you?" he asked. She didn't answer. "Are they here for you?" She nodded once. He leaned in. "Who are they?" Her lips parted. Her voice, soft and dry, whispered one word. "Seeker." Orphan's stomach dropped. A beam of light swept across the ruins. One of the ships dove low, heading straight for them. He grabbed Nara's hand. "Run," he said. They sprinted through the wreckage, past metal bones and broken towers. He led her into the shadows of a collapsed carrier wing and pulled his coat over them. His heart pounded. His breath burned in his throat. The light passed over, scanning, waiting. Then it moved on. He looked down. Nara had curled into his side, holding the sphere tightly. She didn't speak, didn't cry. "What did I just get myself into?" he whispered. She looked up at him. For the first time, she smiled. He didn't sleep that night. The ships circled the skies like vultures over old bones. Their engines hummed with unnatural rhythm. Not like human tech. Too smooth, too cold, as if something alive breathed through metal. Orphan stayed under the broken wing, his back against the cold wall, his arm around Nara. She didn't move, didn't speak, only held the broken sphere in both hands. When morning came, the ships disappeared, into the clouds, but he knew they weren't gone. They were just waiting. And now, so was he. Ready for answers. Ready to understand what kind of child he had saved. The morning after the Seekers came, the sky above the moon was quiet again. But Orphan knew that quiet could be dangerous, the kind that waits, not the kind that leaves. He stood outside the shelter, watching the empty sky with narrowed eyes. Nara stood beside him, silent as always, clutching the glowing sphere in both hands. "We can't stay here," he said. "They'll come back." She didn't answer, but she nodded. Orphan packed quickly. Tools, power cells, water, ration packs, and a cracked scanner. Nara followed him without a word. They moved east, across a field of rusted walkers and broken towers, their boots crunching, over shattered glass and metal dust. Nara didn't complain, not even when sharp wind whipped through the ruins. She never said much, never asked anything. But her eyes were always watching. After a few hours, they reached the entrance of an old underground bunker. Half buried in ash and rock, the door was covered in faded paint and old symbols. Human symbols. Beneath them, scratched deep into the metal, were alien runes. Orphan frowned. Strange mix. He pulled out his code tool and plugged it into the panel. Sparks flew. The door opened slowly, hissing like an animal waking from a long sleep. Inside, the air was heavy with dust. Old machines lined the walls. Lights flickered weakly overhead. It was once a research station, maybe during the early colonization wars. Most of the consoles were dead. Others blinked with low green light, waiting for commands no one had given. In years, they moved deeper, stepping over broken cables and bones long dried and forgotten. In the center of the dome, Nera stopped. She walked to a console, placed her hand gently on it. The lights flickered. Then the screen lit up. Orphan took a step back. "What did you just do?" Nera didn't speak. The screen changed again, this time showing a file. He stepped closer and read the words slowly. Subject 09. Hybrid protocol. Emotion bond. Final stage. Dusk signal. He stared at the words. A cold feeling crept into his chest. He scrolled down. More files opened. Diagrams of a child's body mixed with machine parts, glowing organs, synthetic nerves. Beneath one image was a note. Bond must be freely formed for activation. This is you? He whispered. They made you to bond with someone? And if that bond completes, something called the dusk signal starts? Nera didn't answer. But she took a step back, her eyes lowered. What is the dusk signal? He asked. What happens if it activates? She looked up at him. Her voice was low, barely more than a breath. It ends everything. Orphan stumbled back. No, this is wrong. You're just a child. A quiet kid with a weird toy, not some weapon. She didn't reply. Orphan turned away, running both hands through his hair. I didn't ask for this. I didn't sign up to raise a time bomb. He looked back at her. She stood still, not crying, not defending herself. Just quiet, like always. Say something, he said, his voice shaking. Anything. She opened her mouth slowly. I wasn't meant to live, she whispered, but someone let me out. What do you mean? My tank, she said. Someone opened it. Someone told me to run. Orphan stared at her. Someone helped you escape. Nera nodded. He sat down hard on a nearby crate. His legs felt weak. Why? Would they help you? Maybe they believed I was broken, she said, or maybe they believed I was more. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The console dimmed. The room grew quiet again. Machines hummed softly in the walls, old and tired. Orphan finally stood up. We can't stay here. Those ships, seekers, they'll come. Nera walked beside him as they left the dome. They made their way through a winding tunnel carved through rock and metal. The light from Nera's sphere guided their way. Outside, the wind had changed. Colder now. Sharper. The sky above them pulsed with faint red lines. They're searching. Again, Orphan said. He opened his scanner. 3 red dots blinked on the map, moving fast. They're getting closer. They started running. They crossed a ridge and ducked into a fallen structure, a collapsed radio tower. Nera crawled through first. Inside, they waited. Orphan held his breath. Nera didn't move. A sound echoed from outside. Heavy metal footsteps, not like the seekers from before. These were faster, smoother. A figure stepped into view through a crack in the wall. Black armor. Sharp limbs, glowing eyes. It scanned the area, paused, then turned away. Orphan let out a slow breath. We need help, he said. Real help. Nera pointed toward the horizon. There's someone. Who? A voice, she said. I heard it. In the dome. You heard it? Old, she said. Deep. Hiding. They followed the direction she pointed. Through ruins. Across frozen lakes of glass. Down into the belly of the moon. Where old mining paths led them to a forgotten place. They found it behind a wall of collapsed stone. A door sealed with both alien code and human encryption. Orphan hacked it slowly. The door hissed open. Inside stood a man. Older, tall, with a heavy beard and one mechanical eye. He raised a weapon. Who are you? Name's Orphan, he said. We're not enemies. The man's eye scanned them, paused on Nara. His face turned pale. What the hell is that? She's a kid, Orphan replied. Just a kid. The man lowered his weapon slowly. You don't know what you're carrying. I know she's being hunted. You're carrying a storm, he said. One that kills planets. Orphan stood still. Nara stepped forward. Her voice was soft. I don't want to hurt anyone. The man stared at her. Then at Orphan. You bonded already, didn't you? Orphan didn't answer. Damn it, the man muttered. You brought the dusk into the last free zone on this moon. She didn't ask for this, Orphan said. Neither did I. But we're here now. The man sighed. Then maybe you deserve to see what we've been hiding. He led them deeper into the old station. Behind a thick metal wall under layers of shielding sat something old, round, humming. Nara walked up to it. The machine responded. For the first time in a long time, she smiled. The machine that responded to Nara wasn't made by humans. It wasn't shaped like their tech or glowing with sharp blue lights like the seeker ships. It was older, round, smooth, covered in strange symbols that moved like living ink when touched. It sat at the heart of the resistance bunker, wrapped in layers of shielding and fear. No one had dared to activate it, until Nara walked up and placed her hand on its surface. A hum filled the chamber, soft at first, then deeper, like the sound of a mountain breathing. Orphan and the old resistance fighter, Kane Dredge, stood frozen behind her. Kane gripped his weapon tight, his jaw clenched. It knows her, he said. Orphan nodded slowly. Or she knows it. The hum spread across the room. Lights flickered on. Old systems that hadn't worked in years came alive. The walls lit up with flowing lines of alien script. A soft voice not made of sound echoed inside Orphan's head. Connection formed. Memory unlocked. Origin protocol. Builder sequence. Orphan backed away. His heart beat faster. What is this? Kane whispered. I think it's a memory machine from before the war, before the matriarch. Images floated in the air, not like a screen, more like a dream. Shadows moved through light, tall figures without faces, machines made of bone and glow, stars turning in slow circles, and then fire, war. A woman's face, sharp and shining, twisted by anger. The matriarch. A message played in broken code, half in human, half in something else. She was one of us. She betrayed the core. Turned. Our bridges into weapons, our memory into war. Nara watched the images, eyes wide but unblinking. That's her, she whispered. The one who made me. Orphan stepped beside her. The matriarch? Nara nodded. But she wasn't always like that. She was something else, something good, until she changed. Kane stared at the floating memory. I've heard stories about the builders, about how they vanished. Some say they left when war broke out. Others say the matriarch destroyed them. Nara touched the machine again. The images changed. A dark lab under a mountain. Tanks lined up in rows. Inside each one, a child. Some looked human, others alien, some in between. Most were sleeping, a few were screaming. Hybrid protocol. Phase 7. Emotional resonance weapon. Final test. Love. Orphan felt sick. They used emotion as a weapon, he said. They made kids like you to bond with someone, then activate something deadly. Nara nodded. But it never worked. Until now, Kane said, looking at her. Until you. The machine displayed a file, subject 09, incomplete, emotional core unstable, marked for disposal. Status, escaped. Nara stepped back. Her hands shook. They tried to kill me, Orphan whispered, and someone let you go. Kane's voice was cold. You weren't supposed to survive. Nera looked at him. I didn't want to be a weapon. Maybe you still are, Kane said. You bonded with him. He pointed at Orphan. If that bond completes, you both die, and the dusk signal begins. Orphan stood in front of Nera. She's not a weapon. She saved my life. Kane shook his head. You think love changes what she is? Maybe it does, Orphan said. Nera spoke softly. I was made to end things, but I want to start something, Art. Kane looked at her for a long time. Then he sighed. Maybe you're different, maybe not. Either way, the matriarch knows you're here. As if summoned by the word, an alarm sounded. A red light flashed. A voice echoed from the old comm system. Object. In orbit. Class. Matriarch. Countdown initiated. Surface purge in 10 hours. Kane turned pale. She's here. Orphan grabbed Nera's hand. Then we don't have time. They rushed to the control room. Kane worked fast, activating old defense systems, shielding barriers, and signal jammers. Nothing here can stop a ship like hers, he said. But maybe we can buy time. Orphan looked at the memory machine. Can it call the builders? Kane frowned. No one's heard from them in centuries. Nera stepped forward. But it remembered me. Orphan touched her shoulder. Do you think it'll help again? She didn't answer. Instead, she turned to the machine, closed her eyes, and whispered something he didn't understand. A new image appeared. A signal, shaped like a circle within a circle. Pulsing origin pulse, requesting answer. The bunker lights flickered. Power surged. Then the signal vanished. Nera opened her eyes. It's done, she said. Kane asked. What did you do? I asked for help. A long silence followed. Orphan stood beside her, heart heavy. And if they don't come? Nera looked up at him. Then we face her. Outside, the sky turned dark again. The stars disappeared behind a massive shadow. The matriarch's ship, shaped like a serpent's skull, hovered above the moon. Her voice came through the speakers, calm and sharp. Return the child, or this place. Burns Orphan looked at Nera. What do we do? She didn't speak, but the memory machine lit up once more. A new word appeared on the screen. Judgment. Orphan took a deep breath. They had 10 hours and a choice to make. The wind on the ridge was sharp and full of dust. Old machines creaked in the distance, and the sky above was split by the shadow of something massive. The matriarch's ship hovered in silence, black and wide as a mountain, its open mouth glowing faint red like a sleeping beast. The countdown had begun. Surface purge in 6 hours. Orphan stood next to Nera, watching the last pieces of the ancient engine hum and pulse. They had moved it from the bunker using a hover rig, dragging it through ruins and across dead valleys. Now it rested, at the highest point of the moon, waiting for something no one could fully understand. Nera's eyes glowed faint white. Her hair moved in the wind. The broken sphere she always carried now floated near her chest, spinning slowly, lines of gold light circling its surface. Kane had stayed behind at the outpost, buying time, redirecting signals, trying to confuse the matriarch's scanners. But even he knew that delay wouldn't last. This was it. You're sure this will work? Orphan asked. Nera shook her head. No. Figured. She stepped forward closer to the engine. Its hum grew louder as she touched it. Lights formed in the air. Symbols danced. A voice whispered through the wind. Not words, just memory. The engine was waking. And so was she. Behind them, the sky cracked. A black beam shot down from the ship. From it, a shape descended. Tall, graceful, terrifying. The matriarch. She walked without sound. No guards, no weapons. She didn't need any. Power shimmered around her like a second skin. Her face was calm, eyes silver, lips curved in a smile. That wasn't warm. She looked at Nera. You bonded with it. Orphan stepped forward. Her name is Nera. The matriarch tilted her head. It wasn't meant to have a name. She gave herself one, Orphan said. The matriarch walked slowly toward them. Nera floated down to the ground, feet touching the dust. Her sphere pulsed harder. "You made me," Nera said. "Yes, and you lied. I gave you purpose. You gave me a cage." Orphan moved closer, ready to stand between them. He knew he couldn't stop the matriarch. Not with a weapon. Not with words. But he wasn't going to let Nera face her alone. The matriarch's smile faded. "You've doomed your host." Orphan frowned. "What does she mean?" Nera looked at him. Her voice cracked. "I didn't tell you the last part." "What part?" "The bond gives me strength. But it takes yours." Orphan stepped back. "If you use the full power, I die?" Nera nodded. The wind grew louder. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want you to stop me." Orphan stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled, soft and tired. "You think I wouldn't choose this?" A tear rolled down her cheek, glowing, silent. "I didn't want to be your end," she whispered. "You're not," he said. "You're the reason I kept going." The engine pulsed once, deep, loud, and final. Phase 7. Bond confirmed. Light burst from Nera's body. The sphere cracked open. Golden energy poured into the sky. Orphan fell to his knees. His chest ached, his skin pale. But he was still breathing. Nera rose again, her form glowing. Her voice echoed across the ridge, louder than wind, deeper than memory. "I was made to end," she said. "But I choose to begin." The matriarch stepped back for the first time. "You should not exist." "I do," Nera replied. "And I am not yours." The engine lifted into the air behind her. The ground cracked. Dust swirled like a storm. The matriarch raised her hand. A wave of black energy rushed forward. Nera raised both arms. Light met shadow, and the sky exploded. Orphan covered his eyes. Heat washed over him. Metal bent. The matriarch screamed, a sound that broke the air like glass. Her ship cracked, its surface splitting, systems failing. The beam connecting her to the ground shattered. Then silence. The sky turned white, and the matriarch was gone. Nera collapsed. Orphan rushed to catch her. She was breathing. Weak, but alive. He held her close. "What? What did you do?" he asked. She opened her eyes. "I remembered who I was." The engine fell silent. Its light faded, but something had changed. Above them, the stars shimmered. New lights appeared in orbit. Soft, slow, quiet. Ships shaped like wings of light, not like the matriarch's. These were smooth, silver, glowing with calm. The builders had heard her call. One ship descended, no weapons, no noise. A figure stepped out, tall, gentle, no face, just a feeling of peace. It walked to Nera and knelt. She stood and asked, "Will he die?" The figure pointed to her, then to Orphan, then reached out. Light passed between them. Orphan gasped. Color returned to his skin. His breath grew steady. "What just happened?" he asked. Nera smiled. "They gave you a piece of me, the part that was never hers." The builder's voice filled their minds. "You were not the one meant to find her." Orphan frowned. "What?" "She was not the right child. You were not the chosen bond." "Then why me?" "Because you chose her anyway." Nera looked at him, her eyes full of light. "They called me a failure," she said. "Said I wasn't strong enough." Orphan held her hand. "You're stronger than anyone." The builder left one gift behind, a seed, glowing with memory and life. Orphan and Nera buried it in the dust. From that soil, something new would grow, not death. Life. Weeks passed. The moon changed. People returned. The resistance rebuilt, and at the center of it all stood a man and a child. Not soldier and weapon, not mistake and machine, just a father and a girl. Visitors asked about the war, about the matriarch, about the light in the sky. Orphan never gave details. He only said, I saved the wrong child, and Nara would smile, because they both knew the truth. There was no wrong child, only one who was given the chance to choose who she wanted to be, and she chose love.